Alright, hello, welcome in. Hello, hello. Let's see if I find myself. Trying to see. There I am. Can I see myself? Yes, other than, of course, the camera angle is horrible. And for whatever reason, it's like really off. Hi there, Miss Amy. How are you? Hello there, Tanya. Thank you so much for having me today. And hello to everybody. Welcome. I'm trying to figure out, because my husband was working on trying to get my cameras working, so it's like trying it all over again for the first time. Oh, we're gonna see how it goes. We're going to see how it goes. Alright, I'm going to put my phone over here so that I can, thank you for sprinkling me out. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I don't understand why the camera's so off, because it's always, I mean, it's there. It cannot move. Let me see. This one seems to be a little bit better. Maybe. I hope. Okay. Y'all tell me if y'all can see me good or not. I'm just hoping you can. Oh, I don't know, that tastes weird. Okay. Welcome everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for stopping in. I really do appreciate it. We are going to play, I have been making pockets out of a bunch of, you know, the unwanted mail that we get, because we always have tons of that, right? The mails that come in all the time. And I've been changing them and turning them into pockets so that I can have on hand. And I thought, why not? We can play with that. And I also thought it would be fun to maybe do some playing cards. And I don't know where I did what I did with my playing cards, but we're gonna get started. Thank you to everybody who's here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. But again, if let me know how it looks, if everything looks okay, and all the good stuff, because like I said, we're trying to get this back where it needs to be, right? Okay. Y'all hang on tight. I have a whole bunch of strips of paper that I need to get over here. I think that was the last of it. Making sure I have it all. I know. I look so unorganized, and y'all forgive me. That's the physical version of spam. Yes, it is. You are so right about that. It is, and we all get it, whether we like it or not, whether we like to admit it or not, we all get it. So, let me actually get a playing card right quick. So I want to do that with the strips of paper too. And we're going to do some fun shapes today. So we're going to be working on, I found these and I thought these were so cool. I forget now where I found them. For $1. I think I got them maybe at, well, I don't know, Wally World or something. I don't know. But we're going to make these pizza sauces and we're going to turn them into some trading cards. And then we're going to make a pocket so we can put them in. Alright. So y'all see that? These are playing cards, y'all. Look at this. They look like a pizza, but they're playing cards. That's hilarious, isn't it? So, one. Okay. And the pizza's all the same. There's no different flavors here. Okay. Let me move y'all a little bit this way. Okay. So I think it's going to be easier to do the strips on here than it would be trying to do it on the letters. So we'll do something different with the letters. But yeah, this is what I want to do. So it's going to be a lot of putting down, gluing down and stuff. So we are going to give ourselves some adhesive. Hey there, Miss Yachty. Welcome, welcome. So up after me is Country Lovin' Market. She's actually, I think, new to me. Or I don't remember her. Miss Beth. So I'm actually excited to see what she's going to be bringing to the table. I'm always excited to see what others create, especially when it is something like a where we have crafter's choice, because then you're really allowing the crafter to kind of like go off on their own tangent. And but then again, it's you're doing something that you're comfortable with, and I do like to push myself. So many times when we have themes, those are fun because you really have to think outside the box sometimes. I want to thank Miss Tanya for having me. And for anybody who is maybe new or you're watching me, I am in the Creative Kinship event. So make sure that you are following the free group so that you can see all of today's creators. Miss Amy, Crafts by Amy, was on before me, and it is hilarious. So, as most of you know, my car was hit by lightning, and I've been in a rental for almost a month now, actually. And I went to go put my address in the other day. And I know that I live in Covington, Georgia. I know that there are Covingtons in different states. What I did not expect was for the GPS to pull up my house number, street, everything, but in Louisiana. So, evidently, there is a Dogwood Lane in Covington, Louisiana. I did not see it. I did not see it. I miss a lot of the sign-ups, honestly. Many times I know about events because I get asked if I'm available to fill in, because I am horrible at keeping up with events. So, I know, it was funny that there was the exact same. I'm like, y'all got to be kidding me. And the exact same house number too. I was like, that this is trippy. Trippy to say the least. I was like, goodness gracious. So that was hilarious. I found that funny. Found it funny, found it fun though. I love when there's like just, you know, those interesting coincidences, as we would say, right? Now, for those who may not remember, this is a paper that I was using during a circus themed event, and I had cut down the 12 by 12 and had a lot of these little strips. So that is what I'm using here to be my background, is these leftover strips. So, you know, as a crafter, and especially as a junk journaler, we definitely don't throw anything away, because it can all be useful. Yeah, it did. It definitely did. I mean, I will be going to Louisiana here at the end of the month, but it wanted to, you know, accelerate the process and get me there sooner. That's what it was trying to do. It was like, yeah, no, you might need to go now. It was like, forget waiting till the end of the month. You need to go now. Now's the time to go. And I was like, okay. So, funny for sure. Okay, now some of my glue dried, and that's fine. Why? Because, as most of you know, there are multiple methods of doing decoupaging, and one of them is called the iron-on method, which is when you reactivate your glue. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to reactivate the glue and get this all nice and stuck. So, if you have another sheet of paper, or preferably like parchment or something like that, that would actually be the better type of paper to use. I don't have parchment, at least not right now, so I'm just going to use what I got, which is another piece of paper. So, oops, what are you caught? Oh my gosh, really? Y'all give me a second, because my iron cord is stuck underneath my not realize that. Okay. So, we're using the heat from the iron to reactivate that glue. Okay? So that it can become adhesive again. Hello there, Miss Stephanie. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tamara, but everybody just calls me T. And it kind of started with my students calling me Mrs. T. And it just kind of went from there. Okay, so obviously you guys see we're going to trim all of this extra off now. Okay. So yes, if y'all host events and you're like, this woman never signs up for anything, it is probably because I tend to miss stuff. I get so many notifications throughout the day. I just had somebody like, hey, I was trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, you should know better. It's like I have so many notifications coming through that I many times miss them. So it's always easiest if you send me a message, because if it's just like polls are going up or something like that, I will be like, oh, I need to do that, and then I totally forget, or I just don't even realize that polls are being posted. So I'm horrible at that. It's hard enough for me to keep up with my own stuff. The sound, maybe go out and back in. It's supposed to be go, not ho. Sorry. I don't know. My thing is a little on the glitchy side, so I have no clue what's going on. Hey there, Miss Wendy. Ah! It connected to the earbuds. That's hilarious. That is too funny. That is too funny, Miss Stephanie. I've had that happen where I'm like talking with somebody and then don't realize, and like I was getting ready to head out or something, and my husband or one of the kids starts the car up, and then my phone would automatically connect to the radio, and then I'd be like, where did this person go? And then realize that they're over there talking to the car. So that's funny. That is hilarious. Funny. Hello there, Miss Sarah, Miss Lisa, how are you? Welcome in. Hello there, Miss Wendy. So this is what it's gonna look like. We're gonna have a pizza one side and then collage on the other side, right? You've done that one too. I mean, it is hilarious. We don't think about it, but it happens so often. It does, because we're just so, we always say, oh, this generation, but it's honestly, I mean, all of us, because I'm in this generation. I'm maybe not born, but we're still in this generation, and we've adapted, and so we all just we're so used to having all these awesome things to help us, like the Bluetooth and the earbuds and all that, because I remember when earbuds were for listening to a Walkman or a Discman, and they had to be plugged in. There was none of this Bluetooth stuff. It was all through an aux, right? And I'm sure that I'm not the only one who remembers that. So this go around, I'm gonna put this smack in the middle. I'm gonna use this like more of my main piece. So these are playing cards that are shaped like pizza slices. Again, I think I might have gotten them at Wally World. I'm not 100% sure. These are strips of paper from where I was trimming down 12 by 12s when I was creating, and so I'm just using this up by making these collages, mosaics, however you want to look at it. I mean, you could technically cut these down into smaller pieces, but that would be too much of a headache. So I'm just doing it this way. And you just come on, put your strips down, and this is using what I have. Using what I have to make something new, right? And something different. And so I'm thinking that this would be a fun project. You could totally do this even with a square shaped card, you know, a regular playing card. You know, you can take paper and cut up strips of it. Or you know those 12 by 12s that we get that have designs on them or have like multiple strips on them, and we're like, I don't know what to do with them. Cut them up in the opposite direction, and then just have the kids play. If you have grandkids or your own kids, this would be a fun project to do. Think about it, because then they get to do whatever pattern they want, you know. They could do different purples, different you know, you could have like different shades of a color. You could have totally different papers, you know. I mean, there's a lot that you can do. So I think I'm gonna put this one in. Oh no, I'm gonna put this one this way, because I want this pattern that's on this side. So I'm gonna put this one here. So I'm gonna have this random piece going off the opposite way, but it's what's gonna work. Then I'm gonna use this piece over here. So we're gonna have this one. This was another random little piece. This is where having your bits and pieces of papers, you know, comes in handy. You know, all those little scraps that we save. Because you can't tell me that I'm the only person who likes to save their scraps, right? I don't think so. I think we all tend to do that in one form or another. We tend to save our scraps and be like, oh yeah, I'm sure I can use this for something. Right? How many of us do that? Oh, I can totally reuse this for something. I'm gonna save it. Now, I knew that I was gonna use these to do something with the stripes, because I was like, okay, I got all these pieces. I'm gonna incorporate them. I wasn't sure, 100% sure at the time how I was going to incorporate them, but I knew I was. I just wasn't 100% sure how, but I knew I would, because I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna incorporate them somehow. Yeah, exactly. Totally, you keep your scraps, because you never know. You never know. So this piece needs to try to stay right there. And we're gonna get our handy dandy. Now remember, if you have a parchment paper, it's better, but I got just another piece of paper, so that's what I'm gonna use. And I'm reactivating the glue. and that way it will stick to my strips. Let it dry, you know, cool off for a little bit. Not dry, it needs to cool off. And then we can start snip, 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 right? We can start snipping at it. Now, obviously, some of these are now going to start to get too small, and we're just going to have to come to the realization that we cannot save these teeny tiny little pieces, and they will have to go into the scrap bin, like into the trash, because they're too small to do anything with now. But there's still lots of these strips left, and like I said, these were from my 12 by 12, so you can get a lot. And this wasn't a full 12 by 12, this was just multiple 12 by 12s that as I was trimming them down, I had these long strips, and I'm like, I'm gonna save these because I can totally use that. Right? So I do have a like scrap ribbon and scrap paper and what's the other one? Scrap fabric bins. And those are great for coming up with a lot of these, you know, little mixed media crafts. Like I said, if you have your grandkids at home, this would be fun for them to do. With the square, you know, the rectangle cards, the regular type cards, it'll be a lot easier for trimming. So maybe, you know, we won't be as scared to let the child use some scissors. Obviously that's gonna be up to everybody individually on how you trust the child to do it. But I mean, I'm gonna be using these to trade, so I think this is just fun on its own, you know. It's a fun activity to do. See? So now we have 2 of these. Look at that. And even though I use the exact same papers, they're not the same. They're individually different, right? Because the patterns are placed differently. You know, we did some this way, did some the other way, so they're not exactly the same, which makes them unique, which is one of the fun things, that options that we have, right? Okay, so we're gonna set these to the side, and I want us to look at this right here. It is a great idea for kids. Like I said, if you have the regular rectangle ones, give them just bunch of strips of papers and have them put them, you know, they could go this way, they could go the other way. I mean, if they want to get very intricate, they could do a lattice work. That would require a lot more hand-eye coordination and stuff, but it's not that it's not possible. You know, it's totally possible. And like I said, with it being a straight rectangle, it'll be a lot easier to cut, so they can do them with like the little safety scissors, because again, we want to make sure that our kids are safe. All right, so I want to seal this off so that my pocket will be up top. Okay, the thing about it is that I don't want to see that in the background. So to not see that in the background, we have to add something. And this is where, again, if you have strips of papers, yeah, it does. It does look like a witch's hat. Or if you put like a little pong pong up here, it could be a clown's hat or a birthday hat. So I have some strips of paper, right? And so I am going to add a piece of paper to cover that, so that I'm not looking at the ugly zigzag. I would much rather, heck, I could even use this smaller piece. I would much rather look at that. You can almost read the word love there, right? I would much rather see that than the ugly stuff, okay? So this is what we're going to do. I am going to adhere this piece of paper in here, okay? So I'm going to give myself, and I'm going to use a glue stick for this, just because it'll make it easier. You could put a piece of paper that would fill the whole inside, but you don't have to. You don't have to, because it's only that one spot right there. Okay, so I'm just putting some, again, it's just some glue stick. Put this in here. Get it where you want it, and in my case, I want to see the word love, so I'm going to make sure that it is exactly where I want it. Right, there we go. So now I can see the word love on there. Alright, and seeing it like this, now it actually makes me want to make it as a top loader. So I can totally do that. I'm going to actually then close off this end, and we will do something up here, and I'll show you guys here in a bit. So we're actually going to close this end up. And you can do it with a glue stick. If you have if you want a thinner seal, you can obviously use glue that has a fine tip on it, but I'm actually going to trim this down, so it doesn't matter to me. I just want it to be together. I do need to get a wipe to get some of that glue off. Y'all must be like, what in the world? Those other ones were dry. So, okay. Alright, there we go. Now we got that glue off. Put that over there. Put my glue stick away. Or at least to the side. Okay. And so I am going to actually get rid of this flap, and I'm going to trim this down a little bit. And because it's glued, I could trim it down, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to trim it down with a scalloped edge so it has a pretty edge, okay? I'm going to bring my paper cutter out so that hopefully I cut a straight line, because yeah, I'm not good at straight lines. Heck, sometimes even with this I still don't cut a straight line. So I'm going to use the inside as my guide to where I want to cut this, okay? Because I don't want the back to be lower than the front. Alright, if at all, you would want the front to be lower, but in this case, as long as it is equal, okay? See? So now I have a nice clean edge. Alright, like I said, you can cut this down. I think I'm just going to trim it. See where my, okay, and I'm just going to use this scalloped edge right here, and there we go. We're gonna do that, and then we can do it on this side too. We would just have to glue I am going to do it over here because I think it will make it look pretty. If you don't have scissors like these, you could use a punch. If you have a punch that does it, you could do that as well. You know, like one of those really cute border punches. You could totally use a border punch. That would work as well. So there's always options if you don't have a specific tool or item that maybe you see somebody else use, okay? Alright, now I am a little particular of having like these points, so I'm just going to make it look like it's more rounded there. Make sure that it's still nice and secure, right? Okay, okay, okay. So now look at this, look at this. Before we go to decorating it, so we have this cute little pocket which we can glue into a journal, and it is a functional pocket, and we can put items into it as well. Okay, all right, so let's get to decorating this. So how do you decorate these? There are so many ways to decorate them. You can add washi tapes to these. You can paint these if you want to. You can put paper in these if you want to, or on them, I mean, sorry. You know, you could trace and then make sure that you don't cover that window up, because that's going to be the thing. That's going to be the kicker, is making sure that you don't cover up that window, okay? Let me find me my paper. But in my case, I'm just going to piece it together, and I'm gonna use my glue stick again. And I'm just going to do certain sections at a time. Now, what do you do if you get some glue right there, or anything for that matter? You just bring in a little bit of a wet wipe and you wipe it right off, okay? That's the cool thing about working with these windows. Okay, so I'm going to line this up the best that I can. And then I'm going to cut this. Hello there, Miss Donna Sue. Welcome in, welcome in. I need my large. I do better with my larger ones. And I'm not worried about covering the back for the simple reason that we have that's where I would glue it into a journal, so I'm not worried about what it looks like, okay? Because it's not going to be visible to anybody. Nobody's going to see that. All right, come in here. Actually, I'll make it easier on me. I'm just going to bring my scissors back in and do that. Okay, so look, now I've got that partially decorated, okay? I think I am going to just add something here to cover this up, and I'm going to stamp on this. So I have this really large script stamp which I love to use as background, okay? And I'm going to bring my ink pad, but I'm actually going to put the ink pad to the stamp because it is larger, okay? So I'm just going, this is Vintage Photo, That is the Distress Oxide. Okay, and I could put this down and stamp, or you can come on over here and stamp as well. And I just realized that I put it down upside down. So it's really going to be a very interesting substrate right there. Okay. Oh, but T, you just stamped on, and that included there. What are we going to do? Easy. Remember what I said about the wipe? You bring your wipe in, and very carefully, this one's very wet, as you can tell. Preferably maybe one that's not as wet, but you do want, and it will take all of that off, and now that is going to be clear, right, so that we do not have the lettering or whatever we stamped on that part of our window. Okay, so let this dry a little bit. And more than anything, I need to let my surface dry. Okay, and what did I do with my flowers? Maybe I can find something else to put on here. Okay, so I'm going to take this little piece here, and I'm actually going to trim it up. I'm going to make my own little stamp. And again, if you don't have, there are punches that look very similar to this, to the scissors, okay? Alright, so no, not pink. Where's my little, I'm gonna do it on with the vintage photo. You could use a actual stamp. That works wonderful as well. Okay, but this is going to be the base for what I'm going to do. I do have these old Savers stamp, and I'm going to use one of these. I like the color, so I'm going to add that there as well. I do need my little glue top for that. Okay, so we're going to come in here, and we're going to and I'm okay with it coming over just a little bit. Oh, you are quite welcome. You are quite welcome, my friend. Yeah, I mean, we all tend to have these types of envelopes laying around, or, you know, we will save them and just not 100% sure what to do with them. So let me show you a few others that I've worked on. I actually did these, I did some of these yesterday on another live, and let me show you. So we have a few different ideas. So we have this one. This is the one we did today. Let me put this up so you guys can see, along with our two collages that can go in there. All right. So, okay. Where did my little green ones go to? Here. So let me show you what I ended up doing. Okay. So each one of these was one envelope. Okay. This was an envelope. All right. That was the full envelope. I cut it down. All right. And I put the paper in that I wanted to have on the background. This one I did differently, because if you notice, this is open and this is actually a shaker. You see that? How I did that was the paper in the background measures exactly the same, and I only put glue on the edge and I tucked it in and then glued it. While I had that open, I put in my glitter and my confetti, and then I put a thin bead of glue right here and closed this up. Okay, and then I made a tag to go inside. All right. Well, I had the other half of that envelope left. See, because there's the rest of it. I had the other half. Well, this one, okay, we glued it down, we closed it up. I put paper in front, okay, stamped it, put some embellishments, came in and I punched out from here so that I can pull my stuff in and out. That little edge that I punched out, I glue right back here, so if the pocket is like this, it looks like it's whole. Okay, it makes it look complete. Plus you also don't have to see all of that security envelope, right? And now I can tuck whatever I want in there, and I have what's called a thumb pull. That's what the notches are. They're called a thumb pull, and I have that. So that was one envelope. Okay, one envelope, two pockets, a shaker pocket, because I like that this one was this big, so I made it into a shaker. You can do that with the smaller ones. All right. Okay, so this was another envelope. All right. This one I did differently. I put this part is actually underneath the paper, because I had messed it up really bad when I opened it with my finger. So to be able to make a good pocket, I put the paper in front of it. Same thing, paper in front, notch it out so that when it doesn't have anything in, it looks complete. Open it up, I can put something in there. Okay, this one, all right, when I open this up, the paper is glued to the back. Okay, so I can grab, if this is inside a journal, okay, and there's a tag inside of it. Oh, look how cool, I can see the tag. Well, the moment you pull the tag out, ta-da, there is a little surprise in the back. It is decorated. It looks very pretty. Okay, so there's the tag, and you get to see, through the window you see your beautiful tag that you created, right? This is very simple tag, I mean, right, but whatever you do, you can see it. But when you pull it out, instead of having a background, it looks pretty. So that's two ideas there. This one, okay, the envelope was this ways, okay, and I actually trimmed this one down a little bit more. This one, same thing, but the opening is where we opened our letter, and I glued the top here. I still put the pretty paper on the inside, right, so that I can again pull this out and be like, oh, look how pretty the background is, right? And then this one is your typical just regular pocket. I think I'm going to end up doing a notch because it'll be easier to pull out. And then again, this goes glued in and you can pull out whatever you want from it. So don't throw these away. There's a lot of stuff you can do with them, from shakers to, you know, just beautiful pockets on their own, regular pockets. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with these envelopes. And the cool thing about it is they already have the glassine window, so you just have to decorate it up. Okay, so these are ideas for y'all. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys like the ideas, and we'll definitely try this out. I really, really do hope you guys will try that. I hope so. So, alright, so we've got this one. It's done. To me, it's finished. I like it the way it is. It's simple, but it's really, really cute. I mean, you could come in here and you could put some trim, you know, a little piece of lace right there to, you know, break it up. Whatever you want to do. Again, the sky's the limit when it comes to these types of crafts, because it's you're putting your spin on each individual item of these. Okay, so I really hope that y'all will try this. I really do hope so. And when you do, you know, I would love to hopefully see y'all's creations. Now I'm trying to find something that I can put on the focal point here. So this is the same paper pad. I'm just trying to see if I can find something that I can cut up and add as a focal point. Okay, here we go, right here. I'm gonna cut this up and add this. Gracias, amiga. Okay, so you see this? I have the little big top right there. And because this is from the same thing, I'm going to actually add this in here, but I'm going to round the corners off. We'll round these corners off. And I'm going to mount it. Because while the cards are cool and all, the way they are, they still need a little something, right? They still need a little something. We can always add something. There's always the possibility to add something. Ooh, like this one. That one has some words to it, so we'll add some words. Okay. For this, I'm going to use some mounting dots. I'm just going to give it a few little dots right here. Come on, come on, come on. See if I can get these. Oh, well, this is not going to stick because there's not much glue there. It's the one thing I do not like about the 3-in-1 or the Fabri-Tac is that it usually dries up on you and creates that little crust. Okay, so let's put these mounting dots on, only because I'm not 100% sure where my tape went to. So we'll use what we got, even if this stuff was just there. Doesn't really hold much, but I can always add glue. That's the cool thing about it, is that even if they're dry, I can still add glue to them and they'll work. They'll do what I need them to do. So again, I know that this is probably different for some. I love playing with paper. For those of you who know me, you know, paper's always been my thing. My events are actually around paper. You have to use it some form or fashion because I love to decoupage. And that is something else. You can totally decoupage these with napkins as well. And depending on the napkin, the way it will look coming through, it will be very cool. Alright, so let's give us a little bit of our glue on the dots. I said a little bit. This thing is going haywire, giving me too much. Hey Luna. Okay. And so we're going to put this smack in the middle. Look at that, look at that. It's gonna be nice and 3D-ish in its own way. So guys, please, if you're not part of the Creative Kinship Event Group, I do ask you to go and give them a follow. You know, like the page, like the group. It is a free group. It is hosted by Miss Tanya, by Tanya's Creations, and she puts on these awesome events. And I know the next month, or at least the rest of the month, we're kind of clashing. But I love to be able to be part of events. So, I think, come on, we'll do magic show. Nah, I like this one right here. We're going to do the ticket for this next one. Thank you again for having me, Miss Tanya. I do appreciate it, and hopefully I can join another one of your events in the future. And again, thank you to everybody who's here. I really do appreciate it. Y'all always make my day when you guys come and join me, and especially when it's for something so simple like just playing around, because that's what I consider this. I just consider this playing around. I'm just playing with paper, playing with scissors, my punches, just anything that I have. I find it so much fun. I know it's not like a home decor item, and I do still do those. Don't think that I don't. It's even then when I was doing them, I still did a lot with including printables and papers and stuff. So always kind of been my thing to play with paper. So thank you again for hosting this event. And up after me is Country Loving Market with Miss Beth. So please make sure that you are following and going to watch her, okay? And I'm going to put this last little piece on here, and I'm going to say thank you so very much. Thank you again, my friends, for being here. I really do appreciate that. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.